Don't sit up now.
What's up? What's up, Todd?
What's going on, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, man. Just sitting here waiting for you, man. Love what you do, so I was excited about getting on.
Oh man, don't give me all that. Don't give me all that. Don't
Nah,
try to butter me up. I'm trying to butter you up.
nah, I'm for real. I mean, hey, we got some things we got to talk about. I mean, you done gave the captain his own show. I'm getting ready to get on this platform. That you get ready to do. We get ready to talk about some stuff.
Look, you know what? You know what, man? And we're here with Eric Sullivan, the legend. God damn it, we're here with a legend tonight. This is not my platform. This is not the captain's platform. This is everybody's platform.
Okay, all right. You want to phrase it however you want to phrase it.
No,
Keep it.
no.
I get it.
If you want your show, call me. We have your show.
It's
This is
coming.
everybody's platform. You know what I'm saying?
It's
you guys have all put in the work. I am just a steward. A steward. I didn't even get my chain on yet.
Yeah, get right over there. Get right over there.
Let me get my chain on when I'm with the legend. But yeah, man. Much respect to you tonight. We've got the legend in the building, Eric Sullivan, Coach Eric Sullivan. Let me be clear on that. But man, we're gonna talk about. I don't want. You know what, Eric. I could talk to you for 2 hours, but I'm not gonna do the time like that.
This the promo. Hey, this the promo show. All right. This the promo show.
What I'm gonna do is, man, and I was very intentional when I talked to myself before I came on here. I want to give like 5 minutes Eric Sullivan, the player, and then we're gonna get to the majority of it is what you're doing on this Sunday with the Upstate Hoop Showcase, which is fantastic, man. And I think it all goes hand in hand. It all goes hand in hand to me. So, but you know, to like bring it all circle, full circle. Tonight with us on Lost Letterman, we have Eric Sullivan, one of the best basketball players to ever come out of especially high school basketball players to ever come out of the state of South Carolina. And I was thinking and a fantastic college career. We're going to get into that as well. So, but don't just think it just stopped at high school, but a fantastic college career. And the way I view your college career is you were all really in the NBA. You were really professional because at that time, guys didn't go to the professional ranks the way they go to now. So I kind of view you as a professional, and much respect for you in the career that you had. But take it full circle. Now the coach at Eastside High School basketball, and what Coach Sullivan has done is put together a fantastic showcase this Sunday, March 9th, from 1 to 3 o'clock at Eastside High, where he's got a multitude of college coaches that will be there for any unsigned and underclassmen who are looking to get exposure and looking to play in front of college coaches. Because at the end of the day, as we all know, majority of the time, college coaches can only really have the time to see you in the summer. They don't really have the time to see you during the seasons. But with all that being said, what's going on, Everett?
Man, I'm good. Super excited about the future. Just impacting back home in South Carolina. Got a chance to see my mom a couple days ago. My family's here, feeling real comfortable. Got a lot of friends and supporters that I haven't seen in years. And I've saw a lot of great coaches, a lot of great basketball within the high school ranks here in South Carolina. And, I've pretty much coached on every level. It's only been a couple places I haven't coached. And I thought it was time for me to come back because the landscape is different in terms of trying to get to college. But I think a lot about what I want my legacy to be is about how you help others, how you serving others, how you giving back and trying to help others achieve those dreams. So that's kind of the foundation of where this came from. And we're trying to put it, it's the first year. So it's a lot of work to be put in. Not sure how it's going to come out, but we're going to build on it. And I think it's going to be highly successful.
Well, you start talking about legacy, and that's a fantastic word. We first have to talk about why you have this legacy. And for all that don't know, the Captain Kerry Rich did a fantastic podcast with
Mm-hmm.
Everett, Bruce Evans, Hal Henderson, and due to knowledge. 88, not just 88, but 88 Hillcrest Simpsonville. I don't even think Hillcrest Simpsonville is there anymore, but Hillcrest
No,
Simpsonville.
Hillcrest Dazelle is not there anymore. Hillcrest
Oh,
Simpsonville
okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Dazelle. Yeah.
apologize. I
Yep.
apologize. I
It's all good.
thought once Stanley and Joe came through, they just dismantled the school.
Those monsters. A lot of people came through, but it's still standing. It's still there.
But
Right off the highway.
With that being said, and I mean, much respect to you guys because you guys used to rock the spot bills, and everybody from Columbia, man, we have a warm spot in our hearts for the spot bills, and you guys even in the upstate used to rock the spot bills.
Yep.
But with that being said, Everett, as I was getting ready for us to talk tonight, and I don't want to be too much into your career, but your career is part of the story. So as I was getting ready for tonight, I had to think to myself, the best players to come from the upstate. And I thought you would. The first person I thought of was you, obviously.
Mm-mm.
And then I had to say, man, KG came from the upstate. I said, man, KG came from the upstate. So I definitely would think that you are in the top 5 that I know of. And I'm probably going to say top 3 that I know of. And I'm sure there are a lot of younger cats that I just don't know. With that being said, what does that feel like for you? Knowing that you made such a mark on people's lives in terms of, what you brought to the table from a basketball standpoint. Because I'll just be honest with you, man, I came to the Carolina Coliseum, and it probably wasn't one of your best nights, but I came to the Carolina Coliseum when you guys played Lower Richland back in, I was 88 it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in that time in Columbia, the Columbia newspapers or the Columbia press talked a lot about Columbia players.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you were kind of one of those dudes outside of Columbia that people always talked about, Eric Sullivan. And it was because you were a great player. But the other part of it was you were a showman with the way you played. So talk about a little bit about how you feel about your high school legacy and kind of what you brought to the table as a player.
Well, I think the first thing that you have to understand is you can't get to be the player you are without great coaching. All right. So first, my dad introduced me to the game, and him and my mom allowed me to be coached by Dan Pike, who's a legend in the upstate. He coached a ton of guys. All right. So you hear Dan Pike's name, people gonna know that know. If you know, you know, right? He's got you taking charges. I mean, it was all about fundamentals, and we just had a run with me, Hal, Bruce, and a number of other guys, Steve Harris. I could go on and on. You hate to keep calling names because you're gonna miss somebody, but all the guys came through his program, and people wanted to play for him because he was producing guys. And what I feel like happened is once we hit Hillcrest, we were young and we were fortunate enough to be able to play varsity as freshmen, and we had to prove ourselves. And that's a whole different conversation as freshmen getting on that bus with a bunch of varsity cats who they know you in there to try to take their clock, try to take their time. Sometimes that's a challenge in itself, but me and Hal
freshmen didn't play varsity in Columbia during that time. They might have played, but they might have been on the team, but they weren't making an impact.
No. So we had a breakout performance against Spartanburg. Me and Hal brought them back, I think, from behind to win the game. And that was kind of the pivotal moment that we're like, all right, these dudes are here. And from that point on, the coaching played up because I was so advanced. Like I still say to this day, I'm an underrated passer. That's what got me on the floor at the University of Louisville. It wasn't dunking. It wasn't my athleticism. It was my IQ because I was playing with 3 first-round draft picks. Like, so I was not the first option. So you got to understand how to fit in before you stand out. And I tell my young kids that to this day. When I played overseas, a guy told me that, like, if you want to survive and have a long career, you got to learn how to fit in before you stand out. You cannot come and just start beating your chest, wanting to shoot all the balls and do all those things. So when I look back on my career, I look at where it started, the work that I put in, very humble in terms of my friends and the people and the fans. But I always looked at the game. If I came to the game, I want to give them something to see. Like that's what
Damn
I
right.
want to. Yeah, you can. I want to get. I feed off. I fed off of that type of energy, excitement, a little trash talking, a little bravado. I mean, it was like that when we were playing Lord Richland at Furman, or we were in the Arby's Classic, or we were in the Beach Ball Classic playing Archbishop Malloy with Kenny Anderson, or we were playing UNLV with Larry Johnson, or Kenny Anderson again with Georgia Tech. So I'm going to give you something. You're going to remember, if I get an opportunity, I'm gonna give you something that you would, you're gonna talk about when on the way home, and that's just was my mentality. Some people call it a little bit of a arrogance, showman, but I just played with that type of swag, as people would say, and people love, they love to come watch me play.
I just got a few more, and then we're gonna get to the showcase. And I'm glad you said that because I still remember the first night that I called that we talked on the phone. And man, I was blown away with how humble you were. I'll just be honest with you. Because I expected, because of the way you played, I expected you to be a totally different person, man. And you know what? If you were that person, I would have understood it. I would have totally understood it. But the thing that I love so much about you is you understand that when you get in those lines, you have to kind of be a different person.
Exactly.
You have to be a different person.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about the kind of that persona. And man, I know one thing. When you got to the Carolina, I don't know what it was, but when you got to the Carolina Coliseum, man, it used to be like you took it personally, and you were like sitting on the rims. So talk a little bit about the mentality that you used to have, that you had, obviously, and that I think that you used to have to be the best version of yourself.
I'll be honest. Like a lot of coaches may say during my time, I was not the easiest to coach at times because
I could understand that.
I was very confident in who I was. I was very brash of how I did things. And I came from small town Simpsonville, South Carolina. And you talk about have a chip on this show. I had a chip. I wasn't going to college if I didn't get a scholarship. That's how I looked at it. Like some people talking about NBA. I just wanted to play basketball and get paid. I just wanted to be able to send money back home and look out for family and not have to go work a job. And every time I stepped on the court, that was my mindset. And everybody don't think like that. They out here for fun and games and giggles, and it ain't no smiling. Like I'm dunking, I'm talking to you. I'm taking everything serious. And I think what happened when I was young, people started to see the first person Coach Crumble put in the game, like I'm out there. I'm a freshman. I'm out there against Vegas. I'm out there against Maryland because he knew that's the attitude you got to have when you're young and you're playing against older guys at that type of level of competition. But I've always had it. I mean, all the guys I played with, we had it. And you talked about it with Goldie on the episode I just watched with Sean Golden about the competition that lower state, upper state, like we're all playing like to be the best. If you weren't playing, what you playing for? If you're not playing for the win a state championship and be the best.
Well, I'll say this, and I could be wrong. I might get some pushback for saying this, but I always say and you got a few times around the sun than I do. But one thing that, like, when Stanley and Joe came through, we used to feed off that. As a Columbia guys, we had a certain arrogance and confidence with us. And maybe we weren't the best, but we were going to kind of push you and see if you would kind of crater to us. You're one of the few dudes from I mean, obviously probably KG was like this too, but you're one of the few dudes, at least from the upstate, that I saw that you had a New York vibe with you. You were like, man, I'm about to show you something. I'm about to put on the show. I don't care where you from. I'm about to put on the show, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. If you're better than me, so be it. If I'm better than you, so be it. And I always appreciate that about you. So, but I got to ask you about one game in particular. That your freshman year against Florida State. And you took that thing backwards.
I was that crowd. I was just dumb. I didn't know I was just that.
So talk a little bit about that dunk, man, when you dunked back. And I think George McLeod might have been on that team. Talk about that dunk, but also talk about the Metro Conference, because, man, that conference, a lot of people don't talk about, like, Basketball of Holmes. I was just talking to a dude the other day about Basketball of Holmes, Keith Lee, man, the old Carolina Coliseum,
Cincinnati,
you guys.
Bobby Huggins came into
that conference was so deep, man. Talk a little bit about the Florida State rivalry, but also talk about the conference and how much you enjoyed those college years.
I can think back, and sometimes I have to go back to really remember all the players. But Southern Miss had Witherspoon. Like, everybody had Elliot Perry, Memphis, and I think it was just Cincinnati. DePaul had David Booth. Like, everybody had pros, and it was physical, it was athletic, and they all had great coaches, very good coaches. So every game was a war. Florida State, I mean, they had Charlie Ward. Like, you could go on the type of talent they had. But in that game, if you go back and look at that game, I had a good game. But when the game got to the end, I wasn't supposed to be in the game. Tony Kimbrough fouled out the game, and they put me in the game. So when I went into the game, I was always my patented dunk in transition when nobody's around me. Dominique was my man. I'm going behind.
You were Dominique.
Yeah, you were Dominique. I'm going to turn. I'm going to go reverse, and I'm going to put it between and below my legs, my knees, and then I'm going to dunk backwards on you and hang on the rim. I'm going to pull up and just fly through the air as I come off the rim. So that game, I got the ball on the baseline. He went for the steal. I put it out with one dribble, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go backwards. And it's just instinctive move, and it worked out for me. I was blessed. It worked out for me.
It's crazy that you talk about Dominique, because in preparation for this, I always saw you dunk. I mean, the times I've seen you dunk off two feet, I'm like, man, can he dunk off one leg? And I saw you on that tape. You can't dunk off one leg. You can't dunk off one leg. Yeah. But one thing I always remembered is, I would say you're Dominique and JoJo is more Jordan. Just you got styles a little different in dunking. Yep. And some people, it is what it is. But I'm both like fantastic. But with that being said, next we're gonna get to the showcase. But I've always wanted to kind of ask you, and I like to ask people who played at the level that you played. And technically, in my vantage point, you really played professional NBA type basketball, because I didn't even realize this. One of the best games, man, I always watch is the Syracuse Illinois game, 89.
Yes.
I didn't even realize until today that you guys played Illinois the game before that to get to Illinois to get to that next game.
We beat them. We will beat them if Purvis Ellison don't get hurt in like the first 10 minutes.
Every
We listen.
Every, no, no,
That
no, 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 no,
listen,
no, 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 no,
we
no. We can't have that on Lost Letters,
it's
man. We
it's
can't have that on Lost Letters,
I'm
man.
hey,
You can't come on here lying
that's
now.
how
You
I
can't come
feel.
on here lying.
That's how I feel. And it's gonna be a lot of Cardinal fans out there that's gonna state the same thing I am. With that is a different outcome if we got 100% Purvis Ellison. The way I mean, he was a number one draft pick in the he was a rim protector, he could score inside, he had a little midi game, but
Right.
we had 2 7-footers with him and Felton Spencer. Rest in peace, Big Chief. But
Right.
we were a problem. But when he went down, we just couldn't get back to who we were. And but that game might have had the most either dunks or blocks in the game for
Oh,
a
I can
long
only
time.
imagine. You guys against Illinois. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Kendall Gill, Stephen Bardo, Kenny Lloyd, Nick Anderson. That was a big time. It was a lot of players on the floor. A lot of good players.
But my point is, to me, you basically played, and no disrespect to South Carolina, any other team, but you were in the upper echelon, and you played against Vegas. You know, the best team I think I've ever seen with Larry Johnson, and like
very good.
You played at a certain level. What is it like? And you played with a lot of pros. You know,
Yes.
you played with Kenny Payne.
Yep.
You know, you played with a lot of pros. And you played well. Like it wasn't like you were just
sometimes.
I mean, you were still, you know, the top 2 or 3 scorers on the team, throughout your tenure at Louisville. What is it like playing at that level and not getting to the league? Because all the guys you played against, or a lot of, not all, but obviously, a lot of the guys like Kendall Gill, I'm sure you played against Kendall Gill, and in your mind and in my mind, there's not a whole lot of difference. There's not a whole lot of difference in those games.
I appreciate that.
You know, that next level it's really for the 1 or 2%. It is what it is. But it's so subjective. Politics comes in, and you know you're 20, 21 years old, and you're right there with the rest of those guys. And I know this is a long-winded way to ask. What does it feel like for you not to make that next step with the rest of them who you've been playing against the last 3 or 4 years and playing well against?
My mom did a great job of grounding me. Like I was grounded in terms of my dreams and aspirations. I wasn't the person that if I did not make it to the NBA, it is over. I have nothing. Okay. It's just like right now, me coaching high school basketball at Eastside High School. Like I'm humble I'm grateful, very grateful to be coaching and to be helping people. So my thought process was I made it to the league because as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and even a senior, I helped a lot of guys get to the league. I played and helped a lot of guys. Absolutely. So I'm through. I helped them get to their dreams. And that's sometimes, you get a little bit more reward and good feeling from that because I'm humble. Now, if I wasn't humble and I didn't think about it was the end all be all, maybe it's different. But as people were talking about get to the NBA, I just wanted to have a career playing basketball. I remember a conversation with someone, and he said, I'll make it to the NBA. I said, yeah, you'll be in the NBA, but I'll be playing pro ball longer than you. And that's what happened. He was 2 years in the league. I was 10 years overseas. So I had a career. You had a cup of tea. I had a career. I saw the world. I got a chance to mature. I got a chance to grow and experience things that most people don't see. But I also got a chance to play with the number 1 draft pick in the NBA, LaBradford Smith, Kenny Payne, Jerome Harmon, Dwayne Martin, Greg Minor. I could go on and on about the type of guys that did make it to the NBA and the counterparts, Cornelius Holden, James Brewer, that went overseas and played 10 or 15 years. And then the other guys that I played with are just doing great things off the floor. So I tell people all the time, embody and just pour into the journey. Like, don't get caught up on the end game. Stay locked in on just experiencing, even high school. Don't worry about college. Enjoy your high school career and be grateful and humble and smart enough to understand it might not work out. And I went to Portsmouth camp. I went to the Orlando pre-draft camp, And the crazy thing, I was supposed to go to the Chicago pre-draft camp. You remember back then when it was in Chicago? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was the
yeah.
camp. My invitation got rescinded because it was too many international kids coming out at the time, and they went off. I didn't play great at Portsmouth. I didn't play a lot at Orlando, and they went and started cutting from the bottom. And overseas guys got those bids, and I mean, I was crushed, just like a young kid would be when you think that's your opportunity. But I had to handle adversity. I had to know how to respond, be resilient, and make the best out of it. So I don't look at it as a negative. I think it made me who I am today. It's all about how you handle things. You got to pick yourself up. You got to keep on moving.
Man, I think that's so fantastic. You said that, and you said crushed. And I'm gonna get to crushed, but for some, and obviously, man, I'm just a kid, man, in the Carolina Coliseum. No special nothing. I paid like $6. Man, I was way, way at the top of that Carolina Coliseum.
It was packed in there too now.
It was packed. It was packed. But man, so many people that you meet, unfortunately, like I've met some people like at your stature, and you meet them down the line, and you're like, man, I wish I didn't even meet that person. You know what I mean? Like, because
Not what you thought.
they're still hardened. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're still hardened by the game, and that's why I want to give you your flowers, man, because to play at your level, you got to have an irrational confidence. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get that. You don't get there
You
unless
definitely
you
have
got
to.
an irrational confidence. But with that being said, you also have to be able to dial it back a little bit and have some introspection and be able to look at things as they are, man. And that's one thing I want to do, man, give you your flowers, because man, if you don't have that, you can go crazy.
You can.
And you can mess around the rest of your life. You're always talking about 1988, 1987, and those are great times. But like they said in The Wire, them old times.
Oh, it's old. 30 years ago. 30 years ago. That's what I mean. We know, but that's sometimes that's Todd. Sometimes that's what you have. Those are
Right,
that's
right,
why when I meet JoJo and
right.
whoever, those are that's what it's all about.
And
Like
nothing's wrong with that.
no,
Nothing wrong
yeah,
with that. But
that's
don't be
what it's all
hardened by it.
about.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
talking, you laughing, and you
yeah.
enjoying it, and you might be talking a little game, and a little back and forth, but you trying to make memories, man. That's what you want to do. Like you want to make
Right.
memories, and they're all different. Somebody may remember the bus rides. Somebody may remember the hotel stays. Like everybody, memories are different, but you got memories, and you just want them to be positive because they're gonna be there. I mean, they'll be there, not going anywhere.
And the crazy thing about it is, I guarantee you that you played at the highest level of Power Five basketball that you can play. And I guarantee you, those names that you call, the Greg Miners, the Purvis, LeBradford, and all those games that you played, the things that you remember have nothing to do with playing in the game.
A lot
They're,
of them
they're the
don't.
bus rides and the plane rides and just bonding with your teammates, being with Denny Crump. And to me, that's the special thing about sports, because unfortunately, I didn't play at that level, but I don't even remember games. I just
Yeah,
remember being in the dorms and being with my teammates and things like that. And those are the special things. And learning about people that you probably would never have, come
exactly.
in contact with, man. So, those are the special things. But we're going to get to the Upstate Hoops
Mm,
Showcase right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about, you one thing you just talked about was adversity. And so many times with, at least in my opinion, high school players, they got to learn how to deal with adversity. And one big part of adversity is, and people always talk about, I'm putting the work in, I'm putting the work in, I'm putting the work in. Putting the work in don't guarantee you nothing. What it does
exactly.
is it guarantees you opportunity.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
it. That's
Yep.
it. So you get no ticket by just putting the work in.
Yep.
But what you're doing is you're giving kids an opportunity to get exposure. Now, what happens after that is just what happens. So, talk a little bit about the Upstate Hoops Showcase, where it came from and what your goals are for the Upstate Hoop Showcase.
Yeah, this thought process was I'm coming back home and I want to help these high school kids and it's going to grow into something else. But I can remember the first opportunity I got overseas, I went to a workout. It was an overseas workout. My agent told me to fly to New Jersey. I had a one-way ticket somehow. I didn't have a way back home, but I had to bet on myself. I had to roll the dice. And I went up there and I played out of this world. And it ended up landing me my first job in Finland. And
Okay.
sometimes you gotta take some risks. You gotta put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You gotta pay. Like I told you, I had a one-way ticket. I had American Express. You know them American Express. Once you pay on them, they want all their money back at one time. Like ain't no payment plan, baby. So I got my ticket back home on American Express, and my mom told me go do it, and I went up there and I played out of this world. I think God was just looking over me. He's like, this is it. So with the landscape changing, there's no guarantee you're going to get a college scholarship. Nobody. It could be 1 out of 50. It could be 5 out of 25. It could be nobody. But what you want is opportunity. How do you get the opportunity? Well, I put a lot of time in coaching. I've been coaching for over 20 plus years, and I got a lot of relationships. So I said, everybody I've talked to, everybody I've tried to help, haven't really asked for much. So what I did was got on the phone and I said, all the coaches and college coaches that I know, if you wouldn't mind coming back, we got a showcase. I'm going to try to get all this talent that I seen, because I was utterly surprised by the level of talent in the upstate. It's some players that if I was still at D2, even some mid-major, low majors, I'm taking a look, because there's some good and bad with that transfer portal. Sometimes you don't know what you're getting. You could pay that money. You might not get no return on that investment. So you better be careful. And it might be worth taking an impact high school kid or a kid that may fit a need. And if he's there with you for 1 year or 2 years and he moves on, that's just the landscape. But you gotta peak and you gotta put him on the list, and you gotta have something, because if you gotta go back that direction, at least you've seen the kid. And basically, that's what I'm doing. I want a platform where we can get as many of the kids in the area to come out, invest in themselves. I don't know if I'm gonna get 10 coaches, if I'm gonna get 20. If it's 5 there, that's more than anything. And I'm really targeting small colleges, small schools, to be honest with you, because I understand, the schools with the money, the big money, the D1s, they're gonna wait around for the portal, and they're not gonna probably even, look to make any moves right now. So small colleges that want to take high school kids, and there's a lot of them. I think there's a few of them. They're going to recruit high school, and they want to build their program with high school kids. That's what I'm really targeting.
That's a fantastic commentary, because Slick Rick Pitino, he said something that was profound. They don't recruit high school kids, and the game has changed.
They do. They're not this year. Like, there's some on the rosters. He said this year. See, he messed everybody up. And that's what's like, I think that's what social media do. But think about this, Ty. You tell me this. How long can any school go without recruiting high school kids? Like, it's like the COVID years, right? Like, everybody got the COVID year bag and then got a 5th year, extra year. Well, sooner or later, that's going to cycle out, right? Like, after a while, ain't no more COVID years.
Right.
The same things got to happen for this transfer. Sooner or later, you got to get, in order to get to be a junior or senior, you got to start off where? As a what? Freshman or sophomore?
Freshman. Yeah.
Where are they going? They have to go somewhere.
Well, my question or my commentary is on that. Even if he does recruit high school kids, he's recruiting 4 and 5 star high school kids.
Yes, exactly.
1 and 2,
no question.
So to my and for like, see that's where you got that privilege. You think like a 4 or 5 star. See, I think like a 1 or 2. So as a 1 or 2, and I talked to parents. I've spoken with a few parents. First of all, you have to have enough self-awareness to know that I gotta work, and you gotta fall in love with the pain of the game, because eventually you're gonna get some pain in the game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about kids understanding how they need to develop and how important it is for them to come to these types of showcases to say, this is an opportunity. And that's what life is about.
It
Life
is.
is about opportunity. That's that,
Yeah.
and you know what? To me, that's all it's about. Because nobody's going to give you anything. You got to take your opportunity and do the most you can with your opportunity. And it's not about the coaches and playing me, you know, like that. Like you
Yeah.
got to do something. You can't be one of those guys who, when the tape is on VCR, you're rewinding, you're fast forward, this is my plays. This is my
Mm.
like you got to stand out. So talk a little
Yeah.
bit about
Yeah.
seizing your opportunity and how important that is.
That's hard. You know, it's hard. I really it is really hard. If you're not 6'6", freaky athletic, if you don't have a clip where you just don't miss, you shoot 45% and you 6'3", or you athletic at the guard, or you 6'9", it's hard. It really is. Like you could put all the work in, but if you don't have the intangibles or the metrics that's going to be eye catching out the gate, then what you got to do, you got to stay consistent. So you got to go to this event. You got to go to some elite camps. You got to send your film out. You got to go do a stop by. You
You
got
got
to
to
play
hustle.
a yeah. You got to work, and it's still no guarantees. But sometimes, and more often than not, somebody's going, hey, won't you come up here and play with us? Won't you come work out with us? I liked your game. And the more than that, I think you got to understand how to play the right way. You got to play to your strengths. You got to hide your weaknesses, which is hard in showcases because you might get 3 games. But in those 3 games, you want to be showcasing what you do well, playing defense, playing hard, showing you're in shape, great teammate, talking on all those intangibles. Because when you get to the college level, and this is what high school kids don't understand, the hardest thing for a high school kid to do nowadays is talk on the court. They don't talk. And that's going to be the number one thing a college coach is going to want you to do out the gate. I want you to talk your position. I want you to talk the screen. I want you to talk help side, weak side. Like all those intangibles are important. So if they can check off those intangibles, now they're just looking at, dude, he went 4 for 5 from 3. Kid can shoot the ball, man. I've seen 3 games. He's only missed 3 shots. Like, we got to get him to campus, coach. Like, those are the conversations you want. You can't say, yeah, he can shoot it, but he ain't say a word. He don't run back on D. He didn't die. He didn't even go to the glass for a rebound, not one game. Like, so it's got to be a little bit of everything, and you got to catch lightning in the bottle a little bit. But like you said, you just want an opportunity, and that's really what the Upstate Showcase. I just wanted to think outside the box. I don't know if there's ever been anything in the Upstate like this, to be honest. Like, I can't think of a showcase, and next year I may add a transfer showcase. I could, there's a lot of ways I can move it, but I do think in the next 3 to 4 years, they're like kids are going to have to invest in themselves, get in front of coaches however you can in order to get an opportunity to play college basketball. And you have to be humble enough to understand it may not be exactly where you think you are or where your parents think you are supposed to be. I might have to take this D2 or this NAIA, and let's see if I can work from there and work my way up to where I feel like I should be. So it's a little bit of got to look at the big picture. You got to, not be small minded. You got to be a lot more open minded.
Well, I got one more comment question for you, and I'm gonna get you out of here because I don't want to talk your head off. But obviously we love what you're doing, and I jokingly said, this is your platform, so whenever you need something, it is what it is. Man, I had a dude because I keep my DMs open just to show you how serious it is, and even my kids are not to this level. But I had a guy DM me about a month ago, man, from Nigeria.
Mm.
He sent me his film. I don't know basketball. I mean, I know a little basketball, but I don't really
Yep.
know basketball like that. And he was working out outside.
Yep. Not
Bare
surprised.
feet.
Not
Bare feet.
surprised. Not surprised.
Bare feet. And he wrote me and his English wasn't perfect.
Yep.
He wrote me a text or DM. And you know what he said? He said, love your platform or whatever. He said, all I need is an opportunity.
Opportunity. That's real. Hey, that's real. That's the realest thing.
Hey, you know what, man? I don't know if that guy can play or not, but man, I would give him a look. Because you know what? Whenever he comes over here, I know that he's gonna stick with it. You know what I mean? And I say that story, man, to ask you this, man. What's the most difficult thing? Because you played at a high level, but also you've seen what it is to fall out of love with the game, because that's part of the game. Falling out of love with, you're not playing on CBS. You know, you're not playing on anything. When you talk to parents, what's the most difficult? Because I talk to some parents saying like, man, well, you know, he needs to be doing this, he needs to get more exposure, and like, it's like, man, if he's out there on the court, that's all you can ask for. The rest is, so to that point, and you're dealing with guy like the guy in Nigeria, like you're competing against that. What's the most difficult thing for you, you know, coming back to coaching in high school? And, you know, I know you coached at Lenore Ryan. And, man, I forgot that you guys beat Louisville a few years ago, man. So much respect to you guys in the program and your great career. What's the most challenging thing to you as a high school coach now coming back? Not just the parents, but the kids, to say, man, you gotta, because it's not the same way it was when we were coming up, because, you know, with the transfer portal and everything, you got to be even hungrier. And you got international guys coming. So what's the most challenging thing for you coming back and trying to get that fire in players?
Yeah, you know, you can be as hungry as you want. You still might not get that out. Get your
absolutely.
You don't. Yeah, absolutely. You can be like how hard you play, and like that may be true. You still may. So you know, you may.
But if you're not hungry, you definitely won't.
You definitely won't. I mean, that's what I mean. Like when you talk to college coaches, that playing hard ain't a conversation. We're not talking about playing hard. That is a given. That is, if you're not doing that, then you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. So, but I was speaking to one of my friends who's in college. He's a small college, and he used this term, truth over harmony. And basically, when I talk to parents and I talk to kids, do you want the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear so we can all be good and everybody can be happy when we leave the office? You tell me, because I can frame it however you want to.
All truth is hard. Truth is hard.
You better, if you ask for it, I'm a very transparent. I'm very out front. I'm not going to tell you something I don't believe, I don't think. So when you say truth and I say your kid's not really Division I level, you might not want to hear that, but hopefully you respect me, respect the relationship, to understand. Now, can he play at D2? Can he play in the right situation? Yes. Or he's got to get better at this to even have a chance. Or he's not a college basketball player. He's a good high school basketball player. Enjoy it. He can help a team go win a state championship. But I don't know if he's going to get. And I'm not saying it to crush anybody's dreams. I'm just giving you what I see right now. Can you get to that point? Maybe. But the truth is, right now, he's not going to get recruited. He can't. He's not a great dribbler. He don't shoot it well. And he's not the size to get. So those are the conversations. They're hard. But I think if you have them on the front end, then it puts the ball back in the parents' court and the players' court. Do they want to continue on this journey with you? So I've always kind of used that in my meetings and with parents and with players. And, you know, it's been good for me. And just trying to balance out things and understanding it's a lot harder to get recruited, to get to that dream that you want to play in college basketball. I'm not saying don't give up on it. Don't give up on it. Keep trying. But the reality is, all right, so what's the other direction if we got to pivot? JUCO, are you willing to pay some money to go to school to be a part of a program for a couple years and see what happens? Are you ready to go to prep school? You got to look at all options. You got to be open-minded about it. You got to be realistic because the landscape is just so different. And I think it'll change. I really do believe it'll change in a few years or so, when people will get back to, really looking at high school stronger. But right now, it is what it is.
Well, you know what, and I am going to get you out of here, Everett. But I think that just myself, and again, you've got over 10 colleges: Newberry College, Anderson, Columbia College, Montreat, Caldwell Community College, Denmark Tech, SMC, and a few other schools. John C. Smith. So you got a lot of schools there. But actually, man, take the basketball out of it. To me, the
Yes,
basketball doesn't even matter.
I agree
Um,
100%.
basketball is just a conduit to. I think that the kids learn more from the failure, and they learn more from because that's how life is going to be.
It is
You
exactly
want
how
to
it is.
you want to be a hedge fund manager. You're gonna lose money one day.
Yes.
So you want anything. So I think that what you're doing here is so important because it's giving kids an opportunity for exposure, but it's also giving kids and parents an opportunity for failure too, which is great because
Hmm.
you're going to need to learn how to fail or no, and I hate the word failure, but not to achieve your what you think the success is and how to pivot, as you just said, pivot, from that and keep going. So, man, much respect to you and much respect to what you're doing. And, obviously, we're always going to be a big champion of East Sully and whatever you're doing, man. So, much respect to you again. March 9th, this Sunday at Eastside High School from 1 to 3 p.m. And, stop through. And man, you
Yep.
might just grab yourself a scholarship. And if I was a young dude, I would be there because one thing, and this is the last question. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like I played at Winthrop, man.
Mhm.
I had a lot of dreams of college basketball. None of them, none of them were me playing at Winthrop. None of them. Absolutely none of them. And I played like that when I was there.
uh, you're humble
but
too. You're humble too.
but that's the game. That's the
Yep.
game. But I learned more from not being successful than I would have ever learned if I would have went there and been a Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, talk a little bit about the mindset guys need to have. Because you coach D2, and you've coached everywhere, but you coach D2 your last stop. Talk about the mindset guys need to have to ultimately get to where they think they ultimately want to be.
Yeah. I think the players who have the best chance, right, first has to understand it's bigger than you. It's bigger than you at the end of the day. You think it's about you comparing yourself. It's the comparison game. You trying to compare yourself to Todd who went to Winthrop. You trying to compare yourself to your buddy who played, who played at Western Kentucky. You try lock in on focusing on getting better, and every day let me figure out how to get a little bit better, a little bit better. And when it's all said and done, let's go back and then reevaluate. And if something goes astray along the way, you just recalibrate. Everybody's gonna
Right.
have bad days. Everything's gonna happen. I think one of the biggest skill sets you can have is the ability to problem solve and handle adversity. If you can do that at a young age, you got a chance to be successful. I don't care what, no matter what you do. If you can put your head down, just like the bison do when the storms come, and just plow their way through it, instead of doing like cows do when storms come and run the other way, and the storm just catches them. If you can just put your head down and plow through, you'll get to the other side. And in the climate, in the world today, with everything's going on, basketball is a small piece of it when you look back at it. It's been great. I'm one of the very few to still be able to use it to change lives, to impact lives. But for most, it's over with, and all you're doing is talk about what I still get to go in the gym and work out with kids and go to games and compete. And to be honest with you, I never thought. I was thinking business. I was thinking entrepreneur. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Coaching was kind of, somebody saw that in me. And I think they saw that in me because when I was overseas, there was only 2 Americans on the team at the time. So you had to coach. You had to help. You had to coach and tell people where to be and learn a little bit of the language. And I think those natural instincts and some of my leadership skills that was always in me, that hard-headed, that hard head thought process that I had, it just kind of drove me into coaching. And kids tend to listen to guys who have done what they want to do. So when I went JUCO, I had played D1, I had played overseas. So when I was talking to those guys about what you need to do to get there, a handful of them would listen, a handful wouldn't, and they wouldn't make it. But the ones that listen, they ended up going on to play and have careers. And I use that same thought process at the high school level. If you listen, I can help you from making a lot of mistakes. It ain't gonna be perfect, but I can help you in your journey and your growth mindset and how to continue to put yourself in a position to get an opportunity. And it still may not work, but at least you won't look back and say, I wish I should have did this, or I wish I would have listened to Todd, or I wish I would have listened to Coach Sullivan, or the people who's trying to lead you the right way. So that's kind of my thought process in it. And I encourage kids to just, keep their head up. When failure hit them, put their head down and just keep plowing through it.
Yes, sir. Eastside High School, Sunday from 1 to 3. Just check on our link, Lost Letterman link, or you can actually, check on at Coach E. Sully link and, make sure you sign up. And, it's a great opportunity, man. And in life, that's all you can ask for, man. And Eric, definitely, man, thank you for coming on. Shout out to the Captain Kerry Rich, man, because if it wasn't for Kerry Rich, I would not know Coach Eric Sullivan.
Well, look, man, hey, Todd, you, man, awesome, man. Your platforms, it's growing. I remember
our platform.
Listen,
our
you
platform.
keep saying that. Well, you use that term. If you go to that Lost Letterman website and you look at those episodes from where you started to where you are now, it's incredible. Like, you can click on those things, man, and they'll take you back down memory lane, or you can get up-to-date information about a kid that's playing right down the street, or a kid you never saw that you brought to the platform that you want to hear about him and get a chance to, see a little personality, or listen to him, how he carries himself, or his story or his journey. And I think that's very impactful, man. So keep doing what you do. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about the Upstate Hoops Showcase, man. I'm excited.
It's only my platform when somebody cuts me a check. Then it's my
coming. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you ain't getting it already, it's coming.
But, man, much respect to you, Everett, man. And, whatever you need on this side, man, we're always here for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Todd.
Yes, sir.
All right.